Hey guys, how's it going? I know I haven't done one of these in a while, but I'd like to do a video, another reaction video, not quite the same as the normal reaction video to music video or anything like that. I would still like to continue doing those, but I wanted to get a little more into my analytics side of my content. And there's a video that just came out by Travis. I haven't gotten a chance to really look through it, but there's some interesting things that I've heard about it, and I watched a clip of it. So I'd like to do an in-depth video of his video here, as well as my 2 cents on the whole situation with the league.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my 2020 edition of the Salary Efficiency Breakdown. I did one of these last year. If you want to go take a look at that, it's a total salary. So it's not like, hey, we know which individual player makes. It's more, here's how much, all 10 teams have spent on total LCS salary this year.
And I just want to clarify that too. I don't know if he's going to say it, but that doesn't include staffing. Like, that's just the 5 players on the LCS team. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to skip forward to the actual ranking. Okay,
secondly,
so this is the list. This is the list then from last year. So I'm just going to actually write it down really quick. The difference between TL and C9 is actually so funny. Oh, you know what? TL's is probably skewed as fuck though. Or not TL's. Did I say TL? C9. Because they had equity payments. So theirs was so much lower. I like how I'm doing this while wearing a Cloud9 shirt. I didn't even remember that I had this on.
As I said, I now am going to reveal Optic, Echo Fox, and Clutch total salaries for last year.
Okay, so this is why I wanted to do this video, because I heard that this was in the video that he explains exactly how much they spent on their 5 players from last year. And I think that's huge info, because we can just backtrack the amounts to how much each of the other teams spent this year, and then in a way we should be able to somewhat extrapolate to this year to see how much teams are spending this year. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see.
I also realize that in revealing this data, you now will be able to, I'm not a fool, I realize that you will now be able to take, hang on. I realize you'll be able to take this data, which I have provided you, and the data I am about to provide you to do a...
Oh, okay.
To provide
so
a
then
range
why would he do it?
Of potential of what the other teams were paying, because you can kind of do the math backwards and say, okay, well, we know they had this money, whatever. I'm going to let other people do that data because I don't really want to do it. I also just want to say, like, I still think that
Well, that's what I'm going to do.
You'll be able to figure out ranges for the teams from last year, which I think will be very interesting. Yes. Yeah, sorry. I was just double checking something.
How many monitors does this guy have? This guy's looking all around.
Finally, we've got Clutch.
Clutch should be high. Clutch should probably be 1.5.
This team came in at
1.7. Damn. Okay.
1.7. A little bit over 1.7 million. So now that we have this information, I acknowledge that people can
rolling
go back
in it, eh? Jesus.
And they can use this information.
Okay. So let's do that. Okay. So we've got some interesting information here. So I've got the list here, but I was doing research because I wanted to narrow it down because I have some ranges, and some of them are quite significant ranges. So I was looking for information for some sort of intel of player salary, and this is from 2019. So this is salary, right? So it's full year. So base minimum salary in LCS is 75K. So from that, we know that the least a team could possibly pay for the 5 players is that times 5, right? So if we look at that, it's what is that, point, or what, let's do 75 times 5. So that's 375,000. So the lowest any team could possibly pay for their team is 375,000. And if we look back at the article, the average is much higher, at somewhere north of 300,000. There are some players earning much more than that still. So the average player, average team is 1.5. So with that being said, we can't necessarily say that the teams above average are spending more than that. You can't say the teams below are spending less than that because there's an efficiency curve that we're talking about here. That's what Travis was talking about, and that's what we're trying to calculate. So if we look at this, so Cloud9 for their spring, it's looking at 1 to 1.89 million. I assume no team would spend less than 1 because the lowest I see here is Optic at 1.015. I feel like Cloud9's range here is probably something closer to 1.5 because I assume probably be 1.5 plus equity, so I think that's relatively fair. I would assume that they didn't sign for anything special because Cloud9 is a good org. If you're getting an offer from a team like Cloud9 and it's less than a FlyQuest, you're probably still going to think about going to Cloud9. So, and this is not biased because I'm wearing Cloud9 jersey or shirt. I'm just saying, like, Cloud9 is a good org. Clearly, they just won. They've always been a good org. They have a good following. They've always been competitive. Anyways, TSM has more proof of being a dominant team. So I think for that reason, they could be lower than Cloud9. 1.5. Maybe even higher because they don't have equity. Echo Fox. Yeah, we were given that. Golden Guardians. That's a pretty narrow range. Like, I'm gonna say I'm assuming it's just probably 1.25. Because yeah, that's basically smack dab in the middle. Same with FlyQuest, probably 1.25. And that leaves us with a range for CLG, which is large. I'm assuming on the higher end because they have proof of success, but it's not the best. I just want to see their roster. So they had Darshan, Wiggly, Power of Evil, Stixay, Biofrost in 2019. I think there's reason to believe that they're probably in the range of a similar standpoint to Cloud9 TSM because their players don't seem to really necessarily be worth that much. I'm just wondering if they were maybe overpriced. Team Liquid, sure as hell believe it. They're in the highest range, I would think. I would think Team Liquid and 100 Thieves definitely paid the most. Impact, Xmithy, Jensen, Double F Core, JJ. If you look at this roster, try and tell me who you think is going to be the cheapest. I don't know. This is an expensive team. I honestly think the cheapest player is probably Jensen. Maybe Xmithy. Even though they're both, like, Jensen just came off of a year where he made it to semifinals with Cloud9 and he just packed up and switched to Team Liquid. Xmithy is the best North American jungler. I think he's worth the money. I just don't know if people see him as brand-wise being worth the money when they could just get another jungler. But that being said, I don't see any of their salaries being below average. And clearly by the range, the low end is at 2.1. So that would mean that the lowest that they each get paid is 400,000. And I think, me personally, I would be willing to spend probably minimum 550 for each of these players. Let's look at their roster. They have Bang, Afromu, and then the rest are probably not as expensive as far as I'm aware. Oh, it's Someday. Oh, Jesus. Okay, yeah. I wonder why it's expensive. So Someday and Bang and Afromu. Huhi and Huhi probably could get some change and it would be pretty damn cheap. So let's say if we were to do our estimation here, let's say I would say if there's a minimum of 75, I would say 150k. Because 100 Thieves is the same idea as Team Liquid. They're looking to spend money and then get the reputation and the brand, build the brand, and then they could start spending less money on players because players would know that they're a good brand and go for the brand, not for the money. So I would say 150 is the minimum that they would spend. I think they probably spent something like that on Anda. Huhi, I would think he's probably in the ballpark of 250. I think that's probably why they got rid of him so quick, is because they realized they were spending so much money on him and it wasn't paying out. Bang and Someday, I think those easily have to be the most expensive on the team. Afromu, he's just someone to help with the brand. I think it worked well, even though he's not there anymore. I would say he's probably in the 500k. Maybe I would say 650. For supports, I think he's on the higher end of the market, like quite high end of the market. This is last year. I would say 650. So what is that at so far? That's 1,050,000. And then we have, I would honestly say, probably 750 for Someday, and I would say it'd have to be at least 1 million for Bang.
Everyone is up this year except for Golden Guardians and 100T.
So that's huge. So Golden Guardians, they spent 1.25. It's a range, sure, 1.24 to 1.26, but dude, that's a small range. 20k? Is it 20k? 10? Yeah, 20k. That is a small range that we're talking here. So we know for sure Golden Guardians spent 1.25. We'll just set it at that. He's now saying they didn't change their spending. We have the ratio, the efficiency ratio for Golden Guardians at 1.25 divided by 8 wins. So that means they spent approximately 155k per win. 100 Thieves spent the same, and we put it as 3 million. We're gonna assume that that's fair. I know it's not good to assume, but we'll say it's still 3 million. So spent 3 mil, and then we'll kind of calculate these out and see if it makes sense. So 300 or what was I saying? 3 divided by 10 is 300k. I think that's too high. So that it looks like they spent less than that. If they're that efficient, they spent less than that, I'm sure. Because that would mean that somewhere in the middle is Cloud9. So let's say Cloud9 spent whatever 200,000 per win times 17. This is without equity. That would be 3.4 million per win. They did, or 3.4 million salary total. This might be looking accurate. I don't know if Cloud9 really spent more than 100 Thieves though, but 100 Thieves didn't change their spending, so maybe actually. Okay, we might be getting somewhere here. Let's do a similar thing. Let's say they spent 200k per win. No, they didn't. Let's say they spent 3 million. Will they double their spending? Not likely. So let's say 2.5 times divided by 9 per win. Yeah, looks right. 202, call it 280. Okay, per win. Spent 2.5 million. They do have equity now at Bjergsen, so I don't think it would have went up too much, but increased by $1 million. I mean, it's probably a little lower than that, but we'll continue. So if we say TL estimated 4 million, they switched. Who did they switch? They got Broxa instead of Xmithy. Xmithy, I said, was 650, something like that. I think that Broxa is probably 9, probably close to double it. So let's say we're almost looking. I think we're looking at $5 million team, like basically $1 million each, maybe 5.5. I think it's pretty fair to say. Spent 5.5 mil That is 5.5 divided by 7. It was 750,000, 780,000, 780K per win. So CLG definitely has to spend a lot. So let's say they spent 3 divided by 3. So 1 mil per win. Honestly, possibly. Because it was that bad. 1 mil per win. Spent 3 mil. Right? So we have 2 teams here that got the same amount of wins. So clearly Immortals spent more, or sorry, Dignitas spent more than Immortals, and we know that because 2.3 million for Huni contract 2.3. It was a 2-year extension, so divided by 2, so 2.3 divided by 2 equals 1.15. That was supposed to be a third, so 1.15 times 3 is 3.45. So we'll do that. Spent 3.45 million. Now we'll calculate it out per win. So divided by 8 equals 0.431. So call it 430. So 430K per win. I think Evil Geniuses spent a decent amount of money. So if Evil Geniuses and FlyQuest are next to each other, that must mean that they actually spent genuinely high amounts of money. So per win, I would say it's probably really close. I would say it's probably like 305K per win. 2.4, I think that's pretty safe to say. These two are the same, and they're somewhere between 430 and 305 per win. So I would think that they spent. Evil Geniuses was intended to compete with Team Liquid. That's what their whole thing was. They wanted to be the guys that came out of the gates running. So, I would think they're probably around 3.5. 3.5 divided by 10 is 0.35. I could have done that in my head, but anyways. So 350K per win. That is above Immortals. That's below Dignitas. That's probably right. They have Bang, Svenskeren, Zazel, and Jizuke. Kumo would have been the least for sure. I'm assuming the Kumo was at least 200. So it might have even been 4. It might have been 4. 4 is high though. 4 is really high. But okay, I guess the other thing we have to consider is FlyQuest would have spent the same amount, approximately. So if we look at FlyQuest roster, Viper, Santorin, Power of Evil, Wild Turtle, Ignar. So Power of Evil and Ignar have the most money there. Santorin and Wild Turtle would have also gotten a decent amount. Solo Viper, not so much. FlyQuest technically would have had to have spent more. So I think what likely happened there is they spent too much money on Ignar. So what we have here is a very rough estimates, but I think there's actually decent amount of information here that these are probably pretty accurate. The highest spending team's Team Liquid. I think we all know that that's the case. I think the next highest would probably be it's really interesting to me though, is because FlyQuest I wouldn't have thought spent that much money. But clearly if they're this low on the list and they perform that well, they clearly spent a lot of money. So if it's the rebranding and stuff like that, maybe they just decided to really push for a good company. Like they wanted that public opinion. So they really pushed for the money, right? Like you wouldn't expect a team that has Svenskeren, Jizuke, Bang, and Zazel to cost the same amount as one that has Santorin, Power of Evil, Wild Turtle, Ignar. I would have thought for sure Evil Geniuses spent more, but Evil Geniuses is higher on the list and they have the same amount of wins. So technically then FlyQuest spent a lot of money. So I think the lowest spending here is 1.25 is probably right. That is really low. Golden Guardians is gonna have to spend some more money. They did perform well, but I think if they want a brand, they're gonna have to spend more than that. Like, I think Golden Glue, I don't think they had to spend a lot on, because they're like, hey, look, we've got a starting position for you. If you want it, come take it, but it's not gonna be worth a lot. And Golden Glue wants a starting position, so he's gonna go for that. FBI, same thing. Keith, I don't even know what happened there. And then Haunter and Closer. I would honestly say that the majority of their spending went towards Closer. Or not the majority, but compared to the other players respectively. And then Haunter, and then Golden Glue and Keith and FBI all underneath. I don't know. It's not that much spending. So 1.25 seems accurate. It's interesting. TSM spending, not too much. Seems pretty accurate, just relying on the brand to get players. 100 Thieves spent the same amount as the previous year. They did more with it because they have a brand, I would think. I don't know. It's interesting. Definitely interesting. Well, it's been 70 minutes of looking through these, so let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you think my rough calculations were accurate? Also, I'm very curious what you guys think in terms of the team spending and how they're doing, and let me know what you thought of the video. I really like doing videos of analysis, not just for music, as well as prediction videos. Those will come out for summer, so stay tuned for those. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.